this part much, so you probably won't be seen as much because I'll be kind of flying through my screens. So here we are. Thank you all for coming. This is Twitter for Social Studies Professionals. So this is part of our Wisconsin Council of the Social Studies virtual conference. I'm here with a whole bunch of people from all over. We have Pam from Atlanta. We have Stephanie from Iowa, and we have, who was our third? We have Margot from Chippewa Falls. I'm going to turn on my camera so you can see my me as I like to talk. And what I'd like to do is just get you started with Twitter. Are you all three already on Twitter, or have you been on before?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And I think we're going to get another, sorry about this, we're getting another person to join in maybe. Oh, that was the chat. Okay, Pam's on and Margot's on. Okay, so if you log into Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, obviously you can set up an account, but if you log into Twitter and log in here, this is what your typical Twitter feed will look like when you jump on. And are you, if you guys could give me like a little rating, what kind of Twitter user are you? Are you have an account but don't use it at all? Are you just kind of, you use it a little bit? Are you more of a lurker? You kind of find things out but you don't get involved? Do you participate in Twitter chats at all? If you could give me a little feedback, that would help out.
This is Stephanie. I do most of those things. I probably tweet at least once a day and participate in some chats.
Okay. All right. And Pam, you said you've used a little, but not used the chats. Okay. Margot, are you what kind of Twitter user are you? And actually, there's an easy way to find this out, right? Let's find out. If you would put your Twitter handles in there, I am at Chuck Taft. And also, while you're doing that, I have a little document that is collaborative right here that you can add to. All right, here's Stephanie, I think. Hey, Steph. Oh, I already follow you. Steph, did we meet we didn't meet in Florida, did we?
I don't know where we met, but I've met you before.
Or NCSS?
Because I was with a couple. NCSS would be my guess.
I was with a couple Iowa teachers in Florida, but again, I know there's more than 2 teachers in Iowa. Right?
There are.
So, yeah, there's like 5.
Yeah.
Right? And there's 10 in Wisconsin. That's what there are.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So, if we go on here, so here's how I always look at Twitter. And maybe this is for Pam a little more because she is not as much of a powerful user. But obviously, here we have Twitter. We have our main information right here on the left side, home, your hashtags, any notifications that people are sending you. Messages can be used as direct messages, almost like a little mini email. Bookmarks I don't use as much. I use the likes more than bookmarks, but you can bookmark. You can create your own lists, and then here's your own profile. I'll start with the profile for anybody who hasn't used it before. One thing, if you're new to Twitter, or even if you've been experienced with Twitter, I do think that it's important that you ask your school or district or whatever, do they have any guidelines on social media? One of the guidelines that they said is they want to make sure that, I'm a teacher at University School of Milwaukee. It's obvious because I tweet stuff about University School of Milwaukee, but they want to make sure that I have tweets are all mine on my Twitter profile, so they know that I am not representing school in any way. I would check with your school about how they feel about that and what they want you to put on there. Twitter, some people want it a little more formal. I just try to be as pithy as possible. Also, you might want to check to see, are there regulations about following or communicating with students on social media. Pam, you being a high school teacher, obviously Twitter is open to more high schoolers. And that could be a great way for you to communicate and connect, especially with what's going on in the world today. My school, we do not, I do not connect with students on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. I am allowed to use Remind, which technically isn't really social media. Another thing I would mention here is if you look, I've got some of the things that I'm involved in. I'm really a fan of Breakout EDU, WCSS. I should have a link there, but I think I might have run out of characters. I run a conference called USM Spark, and just kind of this gives a nice little overview for people that can find out a little bit about you, my location, and then you can also add a website if you have your own professional website. Obviously, on your professional part, these are all the tweets that I've made, tweets and retweets right here. These are tweets and people that have replied. You can see that. This is any media that I've posted, any images or video that I've posted with my students. I like to do that and show off some of the things that we do in my class or anytime I'm involved in a chat. And then my likes. The reason why I like my likes is those I feel are my bookmarks. As I go through my Twitter feed and there's something that sometimes I like something just to give somebody sort of a shout out or whatever, but mostly these are the likes that I use to when I see something cool on Twitter, I go, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I go back and look at that. For example, just today, here's some information about a webinar that's going to be hosted next week about teaching social studies remotely. So I want to make sure that I go back to see that and remember to try to participate in that. And then also some kind of cool things that I might be able to use in class. Just taught about World War I there. Here's something right there. So that's just kind of an overview of your own profile there. Okay. Any questions or comments on that at all? All good? Okay. All right. Then the next thing I would mention, about Twitter is, here's somebody TikToking a teacher. Isn't that nice? When I started with Twitter, my big question was, why do I care about people's lattes? And why do I care about what people had to eat and all that kind of stuff? I only use Twitter for educational use. I don't do anything about my favorite sports teams. I don't, do anything about post pictures of my kids or anything like that. My own personal kids, not my kids at school. Instead, I use it for education. And I was trying to figure out originally, how can this help with education? And what it all comes down to is using hashtags and following the right people. Hashtags are, the way I look at it is, hashtags are the way that people on Twitter use files. They're almost like, it's just like little folders that have been utilized on Twitter. And on the document that I have set up for us, these I think are the best hashtags that we can use for Twitter. And the one that I would always point to right away is going to be SS Chat. It seems from the three of you that you probably have communicated on SS Chat before or have been a part of the chats. Pam, SS Chat is really where I have found my best people to follow and really the most inspiration that I can have. It is a chat every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And all you do is you get on Twitter and you just use this hashtag SS Chat, and you will see that they had a great chat on Friday night as well. And what they do is on SS Chat or on any chat, the organizer or the moderator will post questions throughout an hour, and then followers from all over the United States, really all over the world, will just respond to those questions. And the cool thing about it is, if you participate in it live, it is like a flurry of information and things like that. But the great thing about it is, if you don't participate in it live, you can go back and sort of see the archives of the chat for SS Chat. This is on March 13th. This is what they had for their SS Chat. And these are the questions that people asked, and then everybody, or the questions the moderator asked, and then everybody would answer using A1, A2, and A3. I also, almost anything that I post, I add SS Chat to it, because that's what a lot of social studies teachers around the United States do, is that they will add SS Chat to it. So if we look at that hashtag SS Chat, if you ever look at these, if you've got top is what are their most liked and most interacted with posts. So you can see this one right here from Angela, 17 hours ago, had 23 likes. That's why it's top. Latest, though, is sort of the latest feed. And look, here's Stephanie right there. Yay, Stephanie. Because when I wanted to try to get some people to join in here, I added SS Chat in the tags there. Also threw it out to Iowa Social Studies. When it comes to people here, people is these are a lot of people that are involved in SS Chat. And if you do not have a lot of people that you are following, this is where you go. All right. I'm not following Eric, but now I am going to, because in my mind, if somebody's involved in SS Chat, they are somebody that I want to follow. And as you can see, most of these people I'm already following. These are social studies teachers from around the United States. I'm a social studies chair. So I'd head right away, if you want to fill up your feed with great social studies teachers, this is where I would go first, SS Chat. Does that sound okay? And there's Pam right there, Pamela S. Roach. Okay. Any questions on that so far? And then, of course, when you're on, you will see that you can get a follower will follow you, just like Pam did. So I'm going to follow Pam back. That to me was really the biggest, that whole SS Chat and the concept of the chat, that was the biggest transformation of me using Twitter. Excuse me. The biggest transformation, because now I knew who to follow, and now I knew who's going to fill up my feed. So that is the #1 hashtag that I would use. Another one that I really like, and most of these people are on SS Chat. This is SSTLAP. I'm not sure if any of you are involved or were involved with SSTLAP. SSTLAP is SS Teach Like a Party. Or Teach Like a Party, Teach Like a Pirate. Teach Like a Pirate is the Dave Burgess great book. And then we had a fantastic teacher, a social studies teacher in Green Bay named Ben Brazow, who started Teach Like a Pirate, a chat that went on every Thursday for a long time. He moved out of the social studies and had trouble because he has 2 young kids to keep it going. But it's still a great hashtag, and there's still a ton of great people to follow. You'll see most of them are already in the SS Chat group too. But that's another fantastic group to follow. That is SSTLAP, another hashtag that's used a lot. And then there's, of course, a lot of great ones like here. What do you all teach? And we want to welcome Glenn. Hi, Glenn. Glenn, we were just kind of taking a look at Twitter here. I know that Pam is teaching econ, right? And so Pam teaches AP Macro. Margot's gifted and talented. So I know there are obviously hashtags for those as well. And hopefully you guys are all seeing what I'm going through. Are you? You can see can you see my screen when I'm doing my Twitter? When I'm doing my Twitter screen, can you see that all, gang?
I was seeing it for a while, but now I'm not.
Okay, I think so. If I go back to when I click on my screen, I think it's kind of like when I go between the Meet and the screen. I'm still kind of using Google Meet for the first time. Hopefully, you can see my screen right now, my Twitter screen. And there should be there we go. There should be John Meehan right now. So here we have again using those hashtags. I was talking about possibly using or hashtags that you guys could look at yourself. I do know that there's like an economics hashtag for econ teachers. There might be an AP econ hashtag, Pam. There's not an econ chat that I could find. There is a high school government chat. There's a world geography chat. There's no history chat that I know of either. But all of these are fantastic, fantastic hashtags to follow. And if you click on those hashtags, or if you search for those hashtags, it's real easy to follow and try to find out what you're learning or what you want to learn about. If you look at my feed right now, you can find other ones just right away. An example right now, remote teaching is going to be a big one, a big hashtag to follow. What else? Just thinking right now, here's like, Corona epidemic, if you want to find out more about that. If you watched the debate last night, I don't know if you did, but if you watch the debate and you follow the Twitter feed on the debate, it is fascinating. It's really, really cool to see as well. So that's where hashtags are. They to me were the game changer. They really were. Okay. The next thing I always try to figure out, or I had to figure out, is, okay, I got these hashtags, but also who do I follow? Well, the first way to follow is using those hashtags. But another great way to follow people is if you find a social studies teacher that you really, really like. An example would be, let's see here. Who's one of my go-to social studies teachers? This is Gabriel is a social studies teacher in Texas. And what I'll do is, I know that he's a big power user of Twitter. I've got his feed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on click on his profile. All right. And see Gabriel right here. And then I'm going to see who follows Gabriel and who he follows. And I'll show you again how I did that. I saw that he has 3,153 people that he's following, and a lot of his followers. So I'm just going to look at his followers and say, oh, here's some more people that I might want to, here's a history teacher. I'm going to go with that. Here is a master teacher, Jimco. I'm going to go with that. They are locked, so they have to approve me. Here's a technology leader. I'm going to go with that, and so on and so on. I think that makes a good example of how you can find people to follow. And again, that's really, to me, was the key. The key was finding out who to follow and what hashtags to use in order to get what I wanted to do for professional development. Okay. And real quick, I would totally follow Joe Sanfilippo. He's an amazing guy. Quinn Rollins, again, too. He's fantastic as well. Okay. I didn't make a list on here of people to follow because there's just so many people to follow, if that makes sense. Okay. And then, and Pam, so you follow several federal, I guess, Federal Reserve ones. That's good. Glenn, not sure what you. Oh, Glenn dropped out there. Margot, not sure what you follow. Oh, Glenn, you are there. Hey, Glenn.
Hey.
Glenn, where do you teach, and what do you teach?
I teach at Stevens Point. I teach history, religion and philosophy, environmental science, and local history.
So, Glenn, what do you not teach?
Math.
Seriously, that's incredible. All right, well, welcome, Glenn. Have we met at WCSS ever?
Yeah, we were there a couple of years ago. A couple of us.
Great.
I worked just down the hall from Hoppy, so you know Dan.
Oh, sure, absolutely. All right. Well, so again, to the other thing that I really like to use Twitter for, we've got our hashtags that we use. We've got the people to follow, but it's also really powerful to follow organizations. And that is, museums, professional organizations, anything like that. If you can think of something, I'm thinking of what Pamela just said, like the Federal Reserve. If you just look at the Federal Reserve, and I'm just going to go Fed right here, the New York Fed right here, they have educational things on Twitter so much. Plus, it just gives you great information for your own class, right? instead of like trying to search and Google it. They're gonna detail informations about and graphs and things like that. The St. Louis Fed is going to be let's see, I think that's Fed STL maybe. Yeah, the St. Louis Fed is going to be presenting. Oh, maybe not. I'll have to find out what theirs. They're going to be presenting. They have lesson plans all over the place. If you think of certain museums that you could follow, and Glenn, I'm going to ask you if you can turn down your microphone because we're getting some background noise there.
Gotcha.
Thanks, buddy. If you can think of like a museum, let's do the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library. All right, I'm going to find them. They should come up right here. Actually, maybe I got to put the @ there. So here's the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library. Okay, they will be posting a ton of lesson plans probably and ideas and things like that. So we definitely want to follow something like that. And all this does is it fills up your feed. It keeps filling up your feed, and you get more and more and more information. There are, and then you look at who they follow. Well, there's the Lincoln Home. I love Lincoln, so I want to follow the Lincoln Home. I want to follow possibly Illinois history. Another cool thing now that I'm thinking about this is what some people have done as well throughout Twitter, and these sometimes are hard to find, but I found them usually in SS chats or people that have posted. But if there's something famous that happened, say like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, there are people that go out there and they will retweet what happened in history as if it was going on right now. Here's an example of one. This is Taft on this day. Let's see, where can I? It's right there. Taft on this day, which of course I have a personal interest in because I love President Taft. But this is a guy, I don't even know who this guy is, but I think it's hilarious, who tweets once a day as if he was going through President Taft's presidential administration. So if you look at it, it's just kind of funny. Taft arrived in Pittsburgh this morning and stayed at the Laughlin home. He's there for a funeral. His brother-in-law died. It's kind of silly history stuff. It's more for my own personal fun like that. But it was amazing. There are people that retweeted the Constitutional Convention, the National Constitution Center did, as if it was going on. During the 100th anniversary of World War I, there was a tweet a day about World War I. You just kind of got to find those. They're little pearls though, but there's a lot of things that are available on that. I would imagine that there might be something this summer for suffrage because of the 100th anniversary of suffrage. Just great little pearls that you can kind of find. And the easiest way is to do it like a Twitter search, or just hopefully they show up in your feed. Okay. So any questions at all about how to find people to follow, who to follow? Pam's got a couple good ones right here. Econ Lowdown and Econ Tech there. And Margot, a lot of theories, guys, right? Oh my gosh. That's another thing. That's not just social studies. You can follow great people with topics that you're really, really interested in. Here's my personal favorite. I did something yesterday on standards-based learning. And if you go to standards-based learning chat, okay, this is where you can find on standards-based learning chat anybody who's really, really involved in standards-based learning, like people who are talking more about as Margot said, the theory behind it, not just like here's some cool things to follow, but you can have it can really have a really good discussion or information about something that you want to improve pedagogically. Mine would be SBL chat. That's a huge one as well. Now, what I also wanted to show you is if you, yeah, Margot, you're right. You can talk to experts. I mean, standards-based learning. Tom Schimmer is kind of my go-to guy, and when you get a a reply from somebody that you read and you're influenced by, it's like, whoa, like I am, and you can't, it's almost impossible to do that face to face, right? And that's where Twitter has changed things as well. One last thing before I go to another topic about Twitter, but it's also a way that you can reach out to try to get contacts for your students. I don't know if any of you do a lot of research work with your students, but my students do National History Day, and sometimes we're trying to find a way to get interviews and get more primary sources. So we will utilize Twitter to reach out to professional libraries and museums. I do that for them, or just to try to tweet with historians or professors. A couple years ago, I had students do an NHD project on MTV, and we tweeted out to some of the original VJs, Martha Quinn, and God, I'm dating myself, right? But we tweeted out, and one of them got back to us. It was Alan. I forget what his last name was. I don't think it was Alan Jackson, but one of them got back to us, and they were able to have a little communication and set up a contact. It's really, really, and the thing that's great about it is you only invest like 30 seconds to write a tweet, and you possibly can talk to somebody from history or somebody important present day. It's a great way to communicate with your members of Congress if you want to do that. And I've always found out that if I'm asking for me, like, hey, Senator Johnson or Senator Baldwin, can I have a conversation with you? That might not happen, but when I reach out for a 14-year-old kid who's interested in talking to them, that usually works pretty well. So that's pretty powerful as well. So I encourage you to do that as well. So again, what I've kind of talked about here is you can beef up your Twitter using hashtags, following the right people. If you've got some time over the next couple weeks, this is when you can really, really fill up your feed. Myself, I've been on here for a while, and so I have a few followers, and I'm always looking for more followers, and I'm always looking for more people to follow. I don't necessarily have the policy of if you follow me, I'll follow you, simply because I forget to click follow. It's not a personal thing. It's not that I'm not interested in people. It's more like I just forget it. But I'm following people all the time, just like right there. I'm going to follow Don. Okay. Here's the other thing I wanted to throw out there is, of course, when you do all of these things, it's hard to manage all of your tweets, right? So what I'm going to show you is, I'm not sure if you use it at all, but that's TweetDeck. All right. If you haven't used TweetDeck before, I really encourage you to take a look at it. It's free. It was an independent company that made TweetDeck, but now Twitter has either bought it or took it over or whatever. And what TweetDeck allows you to do is organize all of your hashtags, if you want to, into columns like you're seeing right now. The other cool thing is TweetDeck allows you to load up more than one Twitter account if you have more than one Twitter account. You might have a personal professional Twitter account, but you also might have one just for your class. Like I'm thinking, Pamela, right now, you might want to utilize Twitter, have all of your students make a Twitter account, because they probably all have cell phones, right? They can all make a Twitter account, and you can have like, your econ class as a Twitter account as well, and only be dealing with your econ class using a certain hashtag. And that can be added to your TweetDeck. So like right now, I can go on as Chuck Taft. I also run a conference called Summer Spark, so I can go on and tweet about that right here. Or I could tweet as Wisconsin Council of the Social Studies, because I'm part of the web team for that. And that allows me to sort of go between almost Twitter personalities, but I don't have to log on and go back on and log on and go back on. It's all right here. Also, here are my columns, and you can see that I've got a few columns going on. So what I can do is, if I am looking for, like tonight for SS Chat, I want to focus on SS Chat, right? But also I might want to be looking for my notifications here. Here's my SS Chat. Here's Saturday Chat. So this will all funnel my SS chat. And what this does, this will keep updating as the chat goes along. So it allows me to sort of, as I mentioned, hashtags are kind of like folders. This allows me to have all these folders open at the same time. And I can kind of move them around, like this or here or there, if I can get it to move. Where are we? Yeah, I can move these around if I want to order them. Sorry, I think I'm lagging a little bit. I can also move them around on over here. I can kind of scroll through what they are. You know, here's Breakout EDU that I love. Here's Pub PD that we've done, Patio PD, Ditch Book. Here's Ed Camp Madison or whatever. You can kind of scroll through all of these. So if you haven't used TweetDeck and you become more of a power user, I honestly think this is something that's really, really going to help you out. Just kind of getting everything organized. You know, again, the way I would describe it is hashtags are folders. And so what this does is this allows you to see your folders and organize your folders almost like it's a filing cabinet. And I can just move over here, move over here. If you want to make a new folder, what you do is you, like, let's say I want to make a new folder for history teacher. I click on that. And as you can see, it makes a new folder or a new column right here on the side. And then I can organize these and move them around as I want. I can move them using this little movement thing right here. It's kind of lagging a little bit, maybe because I have too many open right now. You know, and this is where, you know, when you're scrolling, because let's put it this way. I've got, you know, I'm following 2,000 people or whatever and organizations. Those tweets are going to come a mile a minute. And you can't look at every tweet you have in your feed. I just don't think that's necessarily possible once you get really loaded up with your feed. However, and that's the cool thing about Twitter is it's personalized. It's when you want it, where you want it, how you want it. You can do it for 10 minutes a day. You can do it for 10 minutes a week or whatever. You can continuously go back to it. It is all about what you want. You can use it as your own personalized resource, like just like the internet. You know, if I want, let's see, you know, if I want to get Civil War lesson plan, if I just do Civil War lesson plan, I search for that on Twitter, and holy smokes, look at this. Here's a Teaching American History grant. Civil War lesson plan. Could the Civil War have been avoided through compromise? Whoa, I like that. I'm going to go back to that, or I'm going to take a look at it. You know, here are another groups that I can follow. Here's a virtual tour lesson plan. Ooh, thank you, Leslie. That's kind of cool. And some of those are from a long time ago. You know, and then I'll look up the latest or whatever. That's what I love about Twitter is it is all personalized. You can use it any way you want. It's that's the power in my mind. Does it, do any of you use TweetDeck, or does that help you out at all? Or all right. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over. I went over, again, if I go back to Twitter here, I went over obviously getting on Twitter. I went over your profile. I went over using all this information on the left here with your bookmark. Oh, you can also make lists, by the way. I started doing that and then I didn't do it as much. I probably should go back and do that. To try to organize the people that I follow. You know, like I've got Wisconsin social studies teachers, and I started a list and then a long time ago, and then I forgot to keep adding to them. So I got to get back to that. But you can make your lists and things like that. Direct messages, obviously. We talked about that. I talked about your feed coming up, talked about using hashtags, how to follow, how to find great people to follow. Pam, really encourage you to get involved with social studies chats. I'm not sure if you've done it either, but tonight the social studies chat is going to be on technology tools, I believe, and using technology. It's really, really cool. And it's also, you know, you can watch the chat flow and you don't have to participate. That's fine. You can be a lurker. That's how I was at the start. You can get involved. It's great. Oh yeah, Margot, Cybrary Man he is fantastic. Bill Chapman out of California. Oh, and one other cool thing that I would mention, and this is kind of nerdy, right? But it's really, really cool to follow people on Twitter and communicate with them on Twitter, and then you go to a professional development conference like NCSS, and you meet these people, and you have a connection with them already. You know, I honestly can feel like I wouldn't call them friends, but I'd call them, Twitter associates, that I'm an acquaintance with people from all over the world through Twitter. And then when you meet them in person, that face-to-face meeting, it's not like oh, how are you? I've never met you before. It is, oh yeah, I kind of know you. And also when you have that communication with them on Twitter more, you have like more of it's just a greater PLN. It's that professional learning network. That's the important thing. Margot, you're asking about parental permission. Can it get through district firewalls? Which one are you asking about, or what topic are you asking about there? Oh, Twitter for your classroom. I'll tell you that as an 8th grade teacher, I do not use Twitter for my classroom because Twitter is I don't think Twitter is open necessarily for all 13 and 14-year-olds. I'm not sure what the acceptable use is. You might have to be 13 or 14. So younger probably wouldn't work out. If you want to use Twitter in your school, you do have to make sure that it is accessible in school. I have made sure that it is accessible in school for my classes. Oh, by the way, another thing, just random thought too, is a lot of times I show students what's going on Twitter. I show students what I'm using Twitter for, to show them a couple things. Number one, that I'm trying to grow professionally all the time. I think it's important for our students to know that we're not just kind of sitting back and just kind of doing the same lesson every time. So I show them that. I also show them that I tweet and our school acceptable use policy. There are certain students that cannot be used on social media or shown on social media, and I make sure that I take care of that. But I show them how I'm sharing their work and what they're doing. And any reactions or reflections I get from teachers, I show them my students so that they can find out, hey, people are seeing what I'm doing, and so that they know that they are actually producing for a larger audience, which is really, really powerful in this day and age. And then also I use it to try to get them to realize that there's a positive use of social media. It's not just, TikTok kind of stuff or whatever, or taking pictures of selfies, that there's another way that you can utilize social media for learning, for education, and that they can use it too for something that they're interested in. It might not be history, but it could be, maybe they want to do something about video games, or I've had students, as part of an assignment, develop a social media campaign to try to improve awareness about, plastics in the ocean, or some did it about just a local. Some people want to do, or some girls a couple years locally wanted to do it about trying to develop an Arbor Day presentation at a local park. So there's just a whole bunch of ways to do it. And as Margot, you said right there, it's Twitter can get kids to have an authentic audience as well. So there's a whole lot of uses for it. I'm a big fan. I again, as I mentioned, I use it only for educational use and professional use. I don't, I'm a big Detroit Tigers fan. I post about the Tigers on Facebook. Or if I wanted to do it on Twitter, I would have my own personal use. That's just one way that I think it's worked out. And also it doesn't like my educational world and my personal world don't cross streams necessarily in that. But those are some of the things that I wanted to share. Do you guys have any thing that you wanted to share, or any other ideas about how to use Twitter in the classroom, either for you as a teacher? I was thinking more for professional development, because we've got a lot of time here in the next couple of weeks probably that we can beef up our Twitter use if we want to, or how you can use it with your classroom. Again, I think that could be something, Pam, that you use. Glenn, you're like all over with different classes, so that you could have a class or a hashtag with each one of your classes with your high school kids. Anything else I can help you with? Yeah, and that's a great, Sam, you had a great idea there. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, this is just Glenn. Sorry. I just got the kids out of the house. That's why I had the microphone off.
Great.
They're outside now. I just had a question about, as far as bringing it in, I've got the senior class, which is religion and philosophy. I've got a lot that I've gathered, but as far as parsing it out to him, as far as specifics, we use everything through Schoology. We're going to be doing e-learning for the next couple of weeks. I'm wondering if the best bet would be through my feed or just through Schoology and the hashtags and have them doing some independent research, because we're focusing on ethics right now.
Thinking out loud, I think what you might have to think is I would probably go through Schoology right now, simply because they all have a Schoology account, right?
Yep.
And then you could possibly make, though, one of the assignments for them to do. It could be set up a Twitter account, and they can set up a Twitter account just for school purposes. They might already have some. But in reality, students' Twitter accounts, their personal Twitter accounts, they should keep them private. They really should. So they should set up an account just possibly for school use if you want them to, and then make that an assignment, and then they can utilize Twitter. Because what they could do with Twitter is you could run a discussion, a Twitter chat, using Twitter.
Okay, because that was the goal was to share it, because it's like living philosophy is kind of the idea, and I wanted them to be able to share things, and it's really clunky to share through Schoology. So that might work to say specifically set up like a PH and then their name account where that's just for philosophy, and that way I can set up things to Greek content. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah, like you could do student SP, or Spash EH1 or something like that.
Okay. No, great. I like that.
And then, Glenn, another thing real quick that you might want to think about too is, if you got a little time to do it, I'd check out Flipgrid. Not sure Pam and Mario have used Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a way where it's not going to be an ongoing conversation like this. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like in real time or a synchronous conversation. But what Flipgrid allows you, are you familiar with Flipgrid at all?
No, actually, I just saw a demo on it 2 days ago when we were looking at what we were going to do when we knew we were closing.
Yeah. So for what you're doing, Flipgrid might be pretty powerful as well, because it allows kids, you post the question, and it allows kids to respond 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever, on a, with a video, and they don't have to download a video or anything like that. It just goes like this, and then all those videos appear with tiles. I might do a different professional development thing on Flipgrid as well, using it, because I personally don't use it much, but now this is a great time for me to incorporate Flipgrid for distance learning. I think it's, and plus the cool thing is that you then can hear their voices. You might not see them; they might have like a different like emoji or something like that, or Bitmoji, but at least you can hear their voices, which is pretty cool.
No, okay, that's exactly what I was looking at. The point of the Twitter was, like you said, to get a personal response and to connect with them, so they don't burn out in the next couple of weeks, because it's some high end stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and you make a great point, pal, that this is a this is a time that we need. Part of us communicating with our students is that we need to check in on our kids. Because all of our kids are in different situations and stuff like that. So Twitter would possibly be a good way to do that. I mean, they could, again, if they have Twitter, they're seniors. If they're 17 and 18, there's fewer limits on them. So, but if it's 13 and 14, we might have to do things a little differently, but it's still a possible great way to get some information from them.
Okay. No, thank you. Right. That's awesome.
You got it. Anything else, anybody, if you're interested? Anything else? Rhonda, I see that you, okay. Oh, how to add TweetDeck. So TweetDeck, I'm going to log out. You hopefully can see this. let's see here. This is me. Oh, edit profile now. Because I haven't logged out. So if I go to settings, I'm going to log out. Okay. And I'm logging out of Twitter as well. So this is what TweetDeck looks like. And I think you just, because it's run by Twitter, I think you just log in. If you go to tweetdeck.twitter.com. All right, I'm going to sneak back over here to our chat. Here we go. So we'll go back to TweetDeck. If you log in, now as you can see, I have a whole bunch of different accounts. So I'm going to log in, and I'm just going to do is Chuck Taft. And it goes back to what I've already had. And that should set you up. And then you want to start making columns. So Pamela, do you have that? Is that something that's worked for you? Oops, that's me. I don't want to see me. Try to click into that and log into your TweetDeck or your Twitter account. Hey, Rhonda, how are you doing? Okay, good. Yeah, let's give it a try. That'd be great. Again, and you know, it's one thing we do have is time. You know, I mean, think about. I don't know. It's a side conversation, but you know, one of the things that always stops us from doing a lot of the great professional development or personal things we want to do is time. And now we have been given a lot of time, and not a lot of things that we can do elsewise. So hopefully, we can use this. Anything else that that I can help you with, or anything else anybody wanted to mention? It is Groundhog Day, Glenn. You are right. And so don't drive angry. All right. Pamela, that review idea, can you, what was the review idea again? I'm not sure what the review idea was, Pam. What was that review idea? Yeah, Pam, I'm not sure what the review idea was that you want. Oh, you're delayed, sorry. Oh, yes. Have students take pictures of econ or your subject in the real world and tag them. That is an awesome idea. We had also thought about doing that as well. Go ahead, Pam. Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, we had thought about that too. There's something that I just saw. I actually saw it on Facebook too, and I saw it on Twitter. Is that kids could actually start creating their own primary sources about what's going on right now. And it could be anything from like a journal to taking pictures of, you know, they're taking pictures of their community with nobody at a restaurant or closed signs or whatever, or you know, what they're seeing on social media or whatever. And they could write about it, journal it, take pictures, and then archive that. And that can become primary sources for like 10 years from now. Here's Pam's ideas: have students take pictures of econ or your subject in the real world. Like, where is history in the real world? Where is geography in the real world? You know, if the kids are social distancing, but they can walk around and stay 6 feet away from people, they can walk around in their community or get dropped off in their community and do economics. You know, they can talk about supply and demand. They could even do like video supply and demand. I mean, seriously, they could do a TikTok on these. Heaven forbid, right? But so that's Phyllis Schuette's Rose idea. I'm going to try to take a look at that. I'm going to copy that and make sure that I take a look at that. That's a great idea as well, especially when we do get back, when the world stops being turned upside down, we can use that for a review. That's pretty awesome. And then, yeah, and your tags are there for reviewing. And I think that, you know, we talked about this yesterday, is that this, and we can use social media to do this and possibly Twitter, but this situation that we're in right now is a great opportunity to look at, we can use this situation to look at civics, sociology, economics, psychology, geography, holy smokes, and of course history. I mean, this is social studies that we're dealing with right now. So all right. Well, if there's not anything else, I wanted to thank you guys for this morning. I hope this helped out a little bit. I'm going to make sure that I communicate with all of you on Twitter as well. And we at WCSS, we've got some other great things coming up. Pam, I would point out that today at 3 o'clock your time, 2 o'clock our time, we have Andrea Casares Santa Maria. She is at the St. Louis Fed. She's going to be doing some online economic resources that you could use. So if you click on that link right there, there is another link in there. I'm showing it to you right here. This right here is going to be a web meeting at 2 o'clock. So she's going to be showing a lot of online resources from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. That might be something that's right up your alley. It's pretty cool. And then tonight we've got Adam Jacoby. He is going to be he's at the Wisconsin State Forensics League. He's going to be talking about discourse in social studies, and he hopefully will be adding how can you add that discourse to your distance learning. So this is hopefully we can make lemons out of or lemonade out of lemons here, or as I like to say, honey Weiss beer out of lemons, and learn and connect with our students in new ways and keep our curriculum going. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Keep in touch, keep in contact, keep looking for virtual things. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I like to talk social studies, and I got to find something to do. So I might be trying to do some more of these with some things. Okay. So thanks again and take care.